Hi everybody, welcome to our second week of craft-alongs for summer reading. I'm so excited to see you. Today we're going to be doing what we called yarn painting. It's actually a traditional art from Mexico, from the indigenous Huipil people, and they do this, and this, what we gave you in your kit, the outline, is a traditional Huipil design. If you didn't get a kit from the library, I'm going to include a link down below that you can use to find this printout and more outlines and the tutorial that I used to learn how to do this craft. Also in your kit from the library, you've got a popsicle stick and you have yarn. Now we gave you 3 pieces of yarn and that's not quite enough. So you will also need more yarn. You can use solid colored yarn, you can use multicolored yarn. I think multicolored looks really cool, but it all depends on what you can find and what you have at your house. You're going to need scissors, and you're going to need glue. Now, if you have more than one person doing this craft at a time, you might want more than one bottle of glue. You use the glue a lot and it might be hard to share back and forth. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is make sure that our paper is on something protective. I have it on one of our handy dandy painting trays. You might want to put it on a placemat or a cookie sheet or something. We are about to use a lot of glue and we don't want it to get stuck to the table. So protect your table. You can also use a paper plate to glue designs onto. You don't have to follow an outline, and I will show you an example of that when we're done. First thing you're going to do is the outline of your drawing. You want to do the outside first and work your way in. That tends to be easier. I'm going to start in this big area over right here, and I'm only going to do a little bit of it at a time so our glue doesn't dry. We're going to put a good line of glue right along the outline there. We'll start with that for now. I'm going to pick my yarn color. I want to use this red and pink one. And you're going to hold your popsicle stick in the hand that you write or draw with. So I'm right-handed. I'm going to hold it in my right hand. That means I'm going to hold my yarn in my left. And you want to keep the extra yarn in your little the little pile. You want to keep that also off to the left, so that it doesn't drag through the glue while you're working. So you place your yarn on the glue and then you use your popsicle stick to press it down. Now you might say, Heather, why can't we just use our fingers to press the yarn into the glue? You can. You'll get very sticky. And some people don't mind being sticky. I am one of them. I don't mind getting glue on my fingers. But if you get too much glue on your fingers, every time you touch the yarn is going to stick to your fingers instead of the paper. So it stays much better if you use the popsicle stick. So I'm going to line it up in the glue and push, 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 push. Push it down in like that. Now I'm gonna go, I think, across here instead of up, so that I can show you how to fill in the inside. We're just gonna fill in this small area. You don't have to worry about being too exact on your outline. The yarn is going to do a little bit of its own thing. You just want the general shape. Tap, 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 making a nice outline. This is why I like
the color changing yarn, the multicolored yarn, is because you get lots of colors without having to do a lot of cutting or changing. But if you wanted to make something that was all one color, that looks very nice too. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill in this white area inside our outline. So we add more glue in next to the yarn we just put on. You can see now why I said that everybody should have their own bottle of glue. You're kind of constantly gluing when you do this project. So we're gonna tap it on, and you kind of want your yarn to be right up next to the last piece you put on. That's because this is how we're coloring, and so if you don't want white spaces, you have to line up your yarn. The other important thing is that when I'm arranging my yarn and when I'm poking it with my popsicle stick, I'm being very, very gentle, because I'll show you in a second. If I push super hard or I yank super hard, it's not going to stay where I asked it to be. So you need to ask your yarn politely to go where you'd like it to go. You don't want to push and shove and yank at it. There we go. So you can see we're starting to fill it in. All right, at this point, I think you have the general idea, and I'm going to use some movie magic and speed this up, and I'll show you how we're going to fill the rest of this in. Then I'll show you what it looks like when the whole sheet is finished. Everybody, you can see that we have our final filled in bit. You can see it looks a little bit messy with the glue. That will look better once our glue dries, because our glue dries clear. If you have any white spots like here, you can just shift your yarn a little bit with your popsicle stick and fill those in, or if you want to, you can leave those white spots. The other thing you can do if you really don't like them is you can cut a small piece of yarn to stick in there. That can be a little bit tough, but you would do it like this. You cut a teeny tiny little piece of yarn and you put it right there, and then you stick it down with your popsicle stick, and that fills in that white spot for you. If you end up with yarn that's too long for the space you're filling in, you can always cut it shorter. That is absolutely fine. I will show you. So this is what the start of this one looks like. And this I made yesterday. This is what it looks like when you fill in the whole paper. As you can see, I decided to leave some open spots and some places where the yarn's a little bit loose and flowy. I thought that looked nice. If you don't want to do your whole paper like this, you can just do the outline of your corn, and then you can cut it out and glue it to a piece of black paper. That would look nice. Or you can leave it like this. If you want to, the other thing you can do, and the reason that your card says you might want a paper plate, is you can also use your paper plate to make some designs of your own. So let's say I have my yarn here, and I want to start with a triangle. So I'll draw a triangle with my glue. my trusty popsicle stick, take my yarn, tap it onto my triangle, and keep going just like I did before. Fill in my triangle, and then you can do other shapes around the outside of the triangle. You can fill the whole plate with yarn. You can just do little shapes. It is totally up to you. Now, when you're finished with your art, this is the hard part. You can't touch it for probably overnight. There's a lot of glue in this project, and you want to give it lots of time to dry. So, the one that I made yesterday, this one, I made, I would say, yesterday afternoon, and it's morning time now, and it's still not quite dry. So you might have to wait a while for your art to be completely dry, but once it is, it looks beautiful. And I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. Have a lovely week. Enjoy your crafting, and I'll see you next week for our next craft. Bye.